Going to be discussing the relationship between hormones and circadian rhythms using both the scientific research paper provided and the textbook readings. In this video, I'll discuss the suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCN, and its relationship with the pineal gland, and melatonin's role in sleep-wake cycles. And then I'll discuss glucocorticoid rhythms and how they're connected to circadian regulation. And then I'll discuss whether circadian rhythms dictate hormone release or vice versa. And then how disruptions like shift work, jet lag, and behavioral changes affect these rhythms and overall health. So let's get into it. So the SCN is located in the hypothalamus, which you can see in that picture there, and it is our body's master clock. So it regulates circadian rhythms, which are is our body's 24-hour clock, and it responds to light signals from the retina. These signals help synchronize biological functions to the 24-hour day-night cycle. So, the SCN communicates with the pineal gland, which produces melatonin, a hormone that regulates sleep. And when it gets dark out, the SCN signals to the pineal gland to increase melatonin production, which prepares our body for rest. Often you see, melatonin supplements and blah, blah, blah. Melatonin levels peak around 3 to 5 hours into sleep and drop by the time you're waking up in the morning. However, this is why they tell you to put blue light glasses on, put the yellow night, what's it called? Not the screen protector, but that filter on your phone, because things such as screens and exposure to blue light and other lights at night can suppress melatonin, which disrupts sleep-wake cycles. And then next we'll get into how glucocorticoids rhythms and its relationship with the sleep-wake cycles. So, as we learned in class, the HPA axis, the cortisol follows a distinct circadian rhythm. So cortisol levels peak in the early morning to promote wakefulness, and they gradually decline by the end of the day to help us feel more relaxed and sleepy at the end of the day. And this rhythm of cortisol is controlled by the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, where the hypothalamus releases CRH and AVP, and then these hormones go and stimulate the pituitary gland to release ACTH, which then signals the adrenal cortex to produce cortisol, which you see in this very detailed pathway that I did not make, but I borrowed from Google. And then, so cortisol's rhythm aligns with daily activity patterns, but as I'll speak on later, irregular sleep schedules and chronic stress can cause dysregulation. And then next, we'll answer the question of, do circadian rhythms dictate hormone release or vice versa, or a little bit of both? So after reading the paper, they both dictate each other. It's basically, after reading the paper, they use the term bidirectional feedback. So the circadian rhythm drives hormone release, as the SCN acts as a central clock, regulating melatonin, cortisol, and all the other hormones based on external light cues that come into the retina. But then hormones influence rhythms. So hormones like cortisol provide feedback to the SCN, helping to like fine tune our rhythms under stress, basically maintaining homeostasis, which is what we learned last week. Basically, the HPA axis is what helps monitor the internal and external conditions and then adjust hormone secretion based on this. And this is just a little quote from the conclusion of the paper. In summary, it becomes increasingly clear that circadian clocks and the endocrine system are intimately linked. On one hand, clocks provide temporal modulation to hormonal axis activity, thus providing systemic timing cues to major physiological processes. On the other hand, hormones serve as mediators between different parts of the circadian clock network, as well as conferring state information from the body back to circadian centers in the brain. I found this really interesting, actually. And then we'll get into my favorite thing I learned, which is how disruptions such as jet lag, shift work, and or the introduction of new patterns or behavior can result in poor function and even increased risk of disease. I am applying to nursing school, so I'm honestly a little scared for this because I know I'm going to have to work night shifts, but it'll be okay. So for jet lag, I don't know if anyone has experienced jet lag, but it's not fun. You kind of have like an out-of-body experience. But this is caused because when traveling across time zones, our master clock, the SCN, falls out of sync with like the local light dark cycles of where you travel to. So the hormones melatonin and cortisol are released at inappropriate times, causing you to feel sleepy in the morning. This can result in mood swings, impaired focus, sleep disturbances, all the not fun things of traveling. And then shift work. So people who work nights, night shifts disrupt natural light exposure as you're working at night and sleeping during the day, so you're not getting all that natural light into the retina during the day. This can alter cortisol rhythms and can cause insomnia, and you're at a higher risk of conditions like obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and you even have a higher risk for thyroid cancer based on research done in the paper. And then things such as irregular sleeping, eating, or activity patterns can destabilize rhythms. For example, I have an Oura ring, so last night I had a pretty late meal around 10 p.m. and then I went to bed at 11 p.m. and I woke up and they were like, your sleep's a little disturbed. Did you have a big late meal last night? This just disrupts like insulin levels and then which leads to increasing risk of metabolic dysfunction. So it's just why everyone always hammers in, get good sleep, because it really is one of the foundations of optimal health. I found this topic super interesting, so hope everyone else did too. Thank you. And then these are my references.